You're gonna need this.
Thank you.
Hurry up.
Whoa, what is up, everybody? I cannot believe it. We are back. What's up, Joey? It's been like 2 months. I had to like get all this dust off of the microphone.
Yeah, I'm nervous, Mark. Like I was like trying to find all my products and plug things in and push
Right?
buttons, and yeah, I'm nervous.
It feels like it's a new season or something because we had that break. And I feel rusty. Do you feel rusty?
I do. You've been doing shows just remote, so I feel really rusty.
I know. Dang, that's right. Joey didn't have you. You missed out on the whole Bentonville experience. My goodness.
I didn't. Yeah, that was a bummer.
But you were there for what we're talking about tonight. And what's up, everybody? We are talking about Ride and Shine tonight. I've got 2 guests backstage that were on stage, basically kind of like the planning committee for Ride and Shine. So we're going to talk all about Ride and Shine. But as always, we are going to turn to you all in the chats and say what is up. I'm kind of rusty on this, but there is a hole shot. We do hole shots. We're going to do hole shots again. And tonight's is going to be a fantastic reward for the whole shot winner. It's going to be a shot with Mr. Adam Mock in a parking lot of your choice.
I love it.
You see Adam's face down there. He's like, okay.
Can I just put up the whole shot winner for tonight?
Let's put it up. Who is the whole shot winner for tonight? Oh, what?
I think it's fixed, but and then second place tonight is.
Oh my god!
And I'll
Did I really hit the 630? Did I really?
Let's go for third place. So yeah, you guys can just go drink away in a parking lot.
How awesome is that? Let's keep going though. Who really got it tonight?
This one came in at 6:01, so it's a little late, but this is. Other than
Trail Pim. Congratulations, Betty. And guess what?
I'm about to drop the hammer, honey.
Yes. You're about to drop the hammer, honey. Good job. Congratulations on that whole award, a whole shot award. I think Trail Pimp's going to start off the new season as the champion again this year, Joey, for sure. Yeah. I see Mia cracking up back there backstage.
It's a bummer Marty didn't win because you'd have to fly him over and everything. Or maybe Adam could fly over there, or you guys can meet somewhere. I don't know how that would work, but
this is true. We have had invites to go out to New Zealand, and how sick would it be to load up the bike bag, stick it on the plane, and jump over the big pond and get down under over there to New Zealand? There's some epic riding out that way. I would love to do that. Marty, let's do it. Let's do it. Yes, let's go. All right, heading out some shout outs. Trail Monster out of Arizona is in the house. What's up, Trail Monster? Good to see you. And yes, you were at Ride and Shine. Also, we got MTV Kaz Ozeki. What's up, Darren? He says, hey, peoples. Good to see you as always. Women's MTV Network is on stage and behind the scenes with the hey, everyone, what's up? We got all the way from Michigan, right there. The girl, MTV Sheen Queen with the caca. Let me see. What do I have one of those here? Let me see.
Caca.
I do have one of those right there. Right there. Oh, the sound bites are so good. So good. It is so great to see everybody. Let's jump right into it. Actually, and Joey, if I miss any of these because I am kind of like rusty, EMTB Adventures, yo, what's up? Good to see you. Robert is in the house. What's up? Good to see you. We're getting the crying laughter emoji from Kim out there in Michigan. Did you know Kim is going to be is a SoCal girl? She's a SoCal girl now.
SoCal?
Yeah, she's a SoCal girl now.
Is she being affected by all these tornadoes back there?
I don't know, Kim. If you are, let us know. Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
She's a little further north over there.
Nice.
without further ado, let's get on the squad here. Let's get on Mia from Women's MTV Network, and let's also get on Adam Mock right here from
Oh
the
man,
floor.
I was cheering for Mia. I was cheering for Mia.
What's up, you guys? Good to
That's
see
great.
you.
Good to see you all. Like this is like the best looking crew. I love this so much.
So
It's nice to
fun.
feel inferior.
By the
I
way,
want to know.
yes,
Go ahead, Mark.
go for it.
I just want to know whose voice that was to drop the hammer.
Oh,
I'll give
that
you a
was
clue.
I almost
There's a
died
clue.
when you played that.
Here
Nice.
you go. Let's play it again.
I'm about to drop the hammer, honey.
It's him.
It is Kim. Can you hear that?
That's wonderful. There might be a future in voice acting there. I think.
Her voice, exactly. Well, the kind of the background, the genesis behind that sound clip is we were at the Bentonville Bike Fest. We were getting ready to drop the hammer, and Amanda Hamilton called and was on speakerphone and was trying to talk to Kim, and Kim was literally in mid pedal. She's like, "I'm about to drop the hammer, honey," and then we just flew it. It just jammed right off
Wow.
it.
Wait,
No big deal.
What's the origin of cacaw? Because I hear that and I think flock, but I don't think
Right.
that's what it is. So what's cacaw?
Kim, if you get a chance, throw that out there. She says, not as good as the original, she's saying. But yeah, that sound clip is in Instagram. It is so good. And I
Oh,
think the caca might come from, but Kim, correct me if I'm wrong. She likes to dress up on Halloween. She did this Halloween ride. If you guys haven't had a chance, go check out MTV Sheen Queen's Instagram. She was dressed up. I think it was like a parrot. It's from you, Adam.
Mark's saying parrot. You're saying me. I'll take it. I'll take it. Shane.
No, I
I
use that with my friends all the time. Like I
Oh,
have
the
some really
bird
close friends that
hand.
are my neighbors, and so every time we walk by their house, we're like, "Oh, to see if they're home, so we can go hang out."
That's cool. We have like 20. We literally have a flock. If you watch my Instagram, every morning they come out. There's like 15 to 20 of them, and they sit. This morning, one sat like 2 feet away from our bedroom window on the second floor, and the bird it makes it doesn't caw. It actually made like an owl sound. It goes woo-hoo, and it clicks.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's cool.
Get up and be like, can you guys like feed us cashews already? And then like the whole thing. It's pretty awesome.
Whoa. That's cool. That's very cool.
Oh.
Adam, when it comes to the flock, I know that's something that is kind of in your branding.
Mhm.
Where does that whole thing come from? What does it represent when people hear you say, come join the flock?
I love that. It's a great question. It's definitely not sheep. This isn't about sheep or a cult. It's birds of a feather flock together. All it really means is like, people who are like-minded will come together with each other. And I love this. Jim Rohn, who trained Tony Robbins, actually said you become the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And it's kind of cool because then they did research on this. And it leads to something called neural synchronicity, which it actually is true. When you hang out with people, your brain starts to adapt and you start thinking like them, you start dressing like them, and you start talking like them. And so I always think to myself, like, I like birds of a feather flock together. I want to flock with people who are like striving, elevating their game, like upping their levels. And I want everybody to do that. So the flock just comes from that. It's kind of more like an honor to people to say, like, can we all group together and continue to elevate each other and fly as high as possible?
God, that's good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Totally love that. Speaking of flying together and flying high together, the MTV community was on a high on July the 13th at SkyPark Bike Park for Ride and Shine. For those of you who are listening on Instagram or Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're downloading this podcast, and for those of you live in YouTube right now, if you weren't there, it was an amazing day filled of inspiration. Adam, like the genesis of this whole thing, for the history, you and I were on a phone call 3 years ago, and let them know exactly kind of how this birthed.
It's really interesting because, like, in my life, I'll be 52 in September. Back when I was 23, I was suicidal, and I share this story very, very openly. And anybody who has ever had suicidal ideation or attempts, like, this dark specter just doesn't leave you. People, like, you wish it really would, but you become very sober minded to the idea that, like, when you're in the valleys of life, because life is a bit of a roller coaster, you have like these highs and you have these lows. When you have the lows, the dark specter feels much closer. And mountain biking gives us an opportunity to get out on trails and remind ourselves that the world is bigger than our problems. And I've shared my story like on stage at places and very publicly and in videos. But Lee McCormack, he was, a lot of you followed him because of like Joy of Bike. And he put a video out a few years ago, actually admitting that he was suicidal at one point. And I think he was out in Sedona, Mark, and I forgot the name of the trail. Do you remember the name of the trail, Mark?
Yeah, no, you're right. He was out on the trail. I think it was Portal Trail.
Okay.
And he was yep.
Yeah, and he just talked openly. Like it's really interesting. A lot of us as mountain bikers, we follow, all of our like favorite influencers and like YouTubers and stuff. And Lee's one of those that we all follow. And he admitted that during the day he was out there filled with stoke. So he's got like the high and he's teaching people how to ride and he's out there in Sedona. But his plan was to go there at night and launch himself off of the trail and end his life. And you could see the pain that still sits with him in the remembrance of that. And Lee had talked about, instead of doing that, he wrote down all the lies he tells himself. And by the way, here's a good life exercise for all of you. Like, write down the lies that you believe that people tell you and ask yourself why you believe those things. And Lee was believing these lies about life. And I can't remember all of them. There's a handful of them. But instead of launching himself off, he crumbled up that piece of paper he wrote all the lies on. He threw that off. And I remember in that moment, I took that as a sign to say, I'm not alone. Lee's not alone. I get calls, because I'm in the personal and professional development realm, and people call me with like their pain. And I recognize, like, man, there's so many of us in the community. If we would just talk about things, we wouldn't feel so alone, because that's what happens. Like, it's very easy to celebrate. And we do this. We celebrate people's victories, but we relate to people's pain. And yet we all want to be perfect, because we're in a world where like all of our social media wants to filter everything and have these like bites and like our world's so fucking great. And the truth of the matter is our world is up and down. So I called you, Mark, because after seeing Lee's video, I was like, I'm going to put an event on, and I want to do it at SkyPark. I want to call it Ride and Shine. So I want people to ride with their favorite people and recognize that the people they ride next to, they might not even realize could be really struggling with their mental health and not talking about it because they're scared of being weak and they're scared of people viewing them as less than. And dude, you're so dope. I say this to Ariel, you're one of my favorite people, Mark. You're just the most congruent guy. Anybody who follows Mark, what you see is what you get. A wonderful, wonderful human being through and through. And dude, you answered my call. You always do. You answered my call, and I was like, hey, dude, bro, I got this idea. Like, I want to put an event for mental health on. I want to call it Ride and Shine. I want it at SkyPark, and I need your help. And man, you didn't even like miss a beat. You just were like, let's do it, brother.
Let's do it, brother.
And then the information came later. All you needed was that sentence. Like, I want to do is you go, let's do it, brother. And I love you for that. And I will always be grateful. And then thankfully, SkyPark, it's hard to understand what we're proposing because they hadn't done it, but SkyPark was down. And what's interesting, Mark, is I didn't know SkyPark's story with Brenton Crow at the time that I was proposing it.
Yeah. For the folks who may not know, SkyPark had lost one of their own close employees, family members to suicide.
Yeah.
And right around the same time that we were approaching them, kind of tee up this event as a build.
Yeah, I think this talks about, like, I won't get too esoteric about this, but this is like quantum entanglement kind of thing. Like, we're all connected, and you guys can look into quantum entanglement. It's really wild. But I think there's something about like this resonance that happens at the right place at the right time with the right people, and we're catching it in SoCal and the SoCal MTB scene. It's Mark. It's what made me and you meet, and you and Joey, and me and Joey, and us and Mia. And it goes on and on, like we're all entangled in this thing. And Brenton Crow's story, as tragic as it is, actually has a lot of hope and illumination to it, years after his passing, because he always wanted to pass on mountain biking lessons to the next generation. And SkyPark was planning for that in their youth mountain biking, like lessons on things. And so right place, right time, SkyPark was open to the idea of Ride and Shine. And Mark, me and you kicked it off, and we learned a lot the first year. And I'm so grateful for the rest of the community and Mia and the Women's MTB Network coming on. And the beautiful thing about this is there's a lot of group rides, but this is the one where like everybody can take ownership of it.
Yeah.
like
It's
the
everyone's
community
event.
gets to own it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And yeah, out of SkyPark's loss, they started a charity foundation, or they're supporting a charity foundation called Making Spirits Bright.
Mhm.
And that has been the premier charity to get the benefits of all that we do. Like, none of us are getting paid to do it. We all
Mhm.
volunteer our time to get people together, but the percentage of the gate fee of people coming in and the vendors goes to Making Spirits Bright. And actually, this last one, I think Marty was asking the question, how many people were there? And we don't exactly know, but we
Oh,
do know.
there was a lot there. It's
Yeah,
hundreds, yeah.
yeah. We do know that the gate fee actually is going to support over 50 kids for mountain bike lessons
I love that.
in the honor of Brenton, which is amazing. We just got that here, like what, an hour ago that they crunched
Yeah.
that number.
Ah,
So, God,
it's so cool. And not only that, Mark, because the truth is SkyPark's supporters, which are products, and by the way, support the products that support us. That's like the best measure of like quality people, the people behind the products. Like there were bikes given away at the raffle. Falcon's Gray, he went out of his way to go to SkyPark and buy season passes that somebody could have season passes at SkyPark. There's so many people who just are down for the cause and want to continue to galvanize the community. And then you have the raffle. And so beyond the gate, that went to 50 of these mountain bike classes for kids, which is something Brenton Crow really wanted. There's these other just supporters and products who make their products accessible to our community under this umbrella of purpose of ending the stigma around our mental health.
right? It's so good. It's so good. And what's really cool and impactful about this whole thing tied to mountain bikes, like, we're doing this thing that makes us feel so good. So before I even had words for it, all I knew is whenever I would get on the bike, and for the people that are listening in their cars and their headphones, wherever you are in the world, there is that one thing that we share. When we jump on the bike, everything kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to bond with each other, make friends, and have a good time. Like, that's all that you are doing. It's crank therapy, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Ooh, I
Right?
like that.
I like that too. That's great. Someone's going to trademark that right now.
TM, trademarking it right now.
we have
Mia's
a
got it.
lawyer right there. So.
Yeah.
TM,
TM, it's already done.
done.
But it's so true. I mean, there were stories of people who haven't been a mountain biker that we heard after the event that came up for the event because of the whole mental health focus, and
Yeah.
now they are interested in getting on a bike.
Mark, you're dead on. And like, I have to tell y'all who are listening or watching right now, like the people who are on right now, Joey Yates, Mark Hill, Mia DePaula, behind the scenes, the beauty of this is we're all about people and purpose even before bikes. Like, we met because of bikes, but these are the people I get to have the realest conversations with off the trails, just about life. And to know that you have safe spaces to talk and to to be in pain. There's something so wonderful about that. I shared a quote. I think it's Adrian Rich. I don't want to misquote this. I think it's Adrian Rich who said, surely there are some among us where we can sit and weep and still be counted as warriors. And I shared that at this year's Ride and Shine, because it doesn't matter who you are. I think we all want to be able to share life experiences and say, we don't get it, and we're confused, and we're scared, and we hurt. And we don't want somebody to instantly fix it. We don't want somebody to go, wow, they're fucked up and they're broken and they're weak.
Right.
We would rather be viewed as vulnerable with strength because we were honest and authentic about our life experience. And that's just the thing. I think the more people talk, the more permission we give for other people to talk. And that's just the first step, towards us becoming more in touch with feelings, which are natural, and life experiences, which can be incredibly challenging for all of us.
Totally. Yeah, Marty out of New Zealand right here. There is strength in vulnerability. Yes.
Big time.
Heck yeah. Got to be
write that
brave
down.
to be vulnerable,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mia, what do you think about this whole thing when it comes to being vulnerable, opening up about it, trying to end the stigma?
I mean, just like I think Jess touched on it at Ride and Shine, culturally, I was raised in a Brazilian Latino background, and that in it of itself is very much like, you don't talk about your feelings, you bury it deep down. And so wasn't until later in life that I became vulnerable. And now I tell people all my things. You guys know this.
I love
I
that.
tell people like, because again, like, I have a lot of trauma in my life. I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, especially when I was a kid. And so now talking about it, once I got older and was in therapy and realized, oh, this is why I am the way I am. I talk about it with people because I want people to know that it's okay to feel like that. And you're not alone in feeling that way. And vulnerability, there is strength in vulnerability, but importantly, Adam, you said something this weekend that really stayed with me. And I think about it. I've thought about it ever since Saturday. Even if you have feelings of anger, those aren't bad feelings.
Yeah.
Those aren't negative feelings.
Right.
Those are valid feelings. Just like when you're feeling vulnerable, they're valid. I just have to think about, why am I feeling like that? Let it out, get in tune with yourself, and, move on. Which is hard to do, but having seen you guys go through it and us talking about it and seeing Jess and Ed and Cindy and everyone share, I think just adds to that. It's okay to feel like that. And people are here to help you,
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question, but I just am feeling the love.
That was so
from
eloquent,
all
Mia.
areas.
It was so eloquent. And you're right. For those who didn't make it, I just want to give some context. As what Mia's talking about is, I don't know where we got this idea that we have good and bad emotions. This is this is what's called emotional literacy. And for the most part, we're pretty emotionally illiterate, because it's not like we're taught these things in schools. We're not taught like how to feel. And the equivalent of it is like, when you're kids and you get in an argument, and the teacher breaks it up, and you're told, play nice.
Yeah.
But you're not taught how to play nice.
Yeah.
Right? You just thought, like, if we knew how to play nice, we probably would have played nice. But we the way we're wired is to have emotions, and all emotions are indicators of what we're thinking and feeling about the experience that we're perceiving. But we demonize them, which can be so problematic, because we're in a world where we have songs like Big Girls Don't Cry. And we have a song by The Cure, Boys Don't Cry. And then you're like, well, what do you do with that if you want to cry? And I've even heard like the Spartan, no, it wasn't Spartan, it was the Romans, I believe. They wanted their soldiers to know how to cry because they wanted them to know the significance of what they were about to like partake in, when it came to wars and things like that. And then somehow we just kind of lost it, and we started interpreting it as weakness. We started demonizing anger. And even anxiety and depression. Listen, sometimes life hits you and it's appropriate to feel depressed about it. Not clinically. You need like criteria for about 6 months to be clinically depressed. But sometimes we get depressed and we get mad. But emotions are what we call amoral. They're not good or bad. They just are, and they're different for people. So some people actually struggle with happiness because their baseline of happiness is very low. They haven't experienced a lot of it. So if they get a lot of it all of a sudden, they don't know what to do with it. Think about it as somebody who hasn't had a lot of money, who grew up in poverty, and all of a sudden they have a lot of money. They're not financially literate overnight because they have a lot of money. It's nice, but they're not financially literate to have that. And people, deal with anger. Like anger, it's actually a beautiful emotion, because anger could lead you to causes. You could start 501c3 nonprofits. You could do things that are just because you're angry, right? It's beautiful, like Mia.
Literally, I started the network because I was angry because I couldn't find anything for women online for resources. Like,
beautiful example. Look at that. And now Mia is affecting so many women, and not just women, but men, because Mia is so fucking inclusive. Like, it's a women's MTB network, but Mia will never turn down advocates for the cause that she started because of anger, right? So let that be kind of like a nugget for all of you. Like, your emotions, all they are indicators. And we have 3 channels of that. We feel our emotions through thoughts. We can't think of everything at once. So we actually think about what's emotionally relevant to us at the time. Physical sensations, like if you're angry, you might clench your fist, you might clench your jaw. You might feel tightness in your chest. And that's an indicator that you're upset or angry or, pissed off. And impulses, and that's where we get the term acting out. And a lot of time we think acting out's a negative term, because we hear that with kids, like, oh, they were acting out, like they weren't sharing toys. But acting out can be running up and hugging. So I've hugged all of you because I love you. That's me acting out an impulse of my emotion of love. Emotions are wonderful. They're just incredibly misunderstood, because people are more willing to work on what they do than who they are. And that's the big problem we have.
That's so true. That's so true. I'm learning that to this day in my life. trying to juggle everything and yet getting back to working out because I enjoy it and eating better so I feel better. Oh, those things are hard to do because you're thinking about everyone else but yourself around you, and it's tough to do.
Yeah, totally.
Who's gonna punch a wall? You might punch a wall. Who's Joey talking about over there? Who's gonna punch a wall?
With anger. He's saying you might end up punching a wall.
I use this behind me right here.
Hey, I've seen you drum, Mia. You are skilled.
Thank you, friend. I've been doing it for a long time.
I like the wall because after you calm down, you have to repair it.
Gives you something to do.
Wouldn't you just get angry? At it.
It's kind of therapy. You kind of. You know.
But wouldn't you get angry that you have to fix it? So the anger never really goes away.
Yeah, you're feeling it.
Even
I have.
It's all fixed, and you can't even tell it was ever there. Yeah, it's all.
Yeah,
good.
but
I have in my garage. I have. If any of you are like into MMA or fighting, I have that punching thing. The dude, it's called Century Bob. It's like a torso and like the head of the dude, and you can like choke him out and punch him and everything. So, down in my garage, I go do that.
What I love about talking about all these emotions and all of us as mountain bikers is that we definitely also feel these emotions when we're just traveling down the trail.
Yeah,
like fear, making the right choices, like self-doubt, depression, even like, why am I not as good as that person? Like, why can't I do this like that person? And we get that, and it's like a natural feeling. And boy, wouldn't it be cool if we could just like cruise out in life and also be okay to feel those, like,
yeah.
I need to ask somebody how to get through this feature, this drop. Like we have MTB Sheen Queen, like she's really good at drops and really good at tech. It's not a thing to ask somebody who's better than you, how do you get through this? So like in real life, if you're used to asking and seeking support, wouldn't it be cool to just be like, you know what? I'm feeling I need a therapist. I need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
It'd be so nice. I think Jess actually said it really well, Mia, when you were interviewing her. Jess was like, after a while going to the therapist, it like feels no different than doing any other like routine that you do. Once you start and you continue, it just becomes easier. There's a beautiful thing that happens though too. Like the more honest you get with your life, Dr. David Viscott says, if you lived honestly, your life would heal itself. I said that on Johnny U's podcast, MTV Q&A. If you lived honestly, your life would heal itself. And there's this beautiful thing that happens. Like the more you talk about real things, the more you know who your real friends are. Because the people who don't, like, they're just like, yeah, I don't have time for that bullshit. I don't have time for your feelings. Like, let them bounce. Like, really put them in the outer circles. It's just going to make room for the people who are like, oh my God, thank you. You feel that way too? Yeah, I want to be around you. And it doesn't mean like everyone's lamenting all the time. It just means like you want to get that out. And then, if you're safe with the challenging emotions, you're safe with every emotion with those people. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm writing this down as you're talking. In my whiteboard.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and then when we go to the actual Ride and Shine event, as we're approaching the actual date, we're back behind the scenes trying to figure out what's the best way to touch as many people as possible to bring down those barriers of stigma around talking about mental health, picking the right people that have stories that may relate to more people, right? Because the whole goal is to save one life. Yeah. And Adam and Mia, like on all of those calls leading up to Ride and Shine and with SkyPark, where did we land on that this year? What was the thing we were going for?
I think we were going for the equalizer. Like it's easy for everyone to think that Ride and Shine is all about suicide or PTSD, like the things that we perceive as the heavy hitters. And suicide is a heavy hitter. I do not want to downplay that. Suicide's a heavy hitter. The unfortunate thing is then people will convince themselves that like grief, anxiety, depression isn't as heavy, not as important. And we, everything is relative. We relate our experiences to how we see other people dealing with stuff. And I don't know how many times I've heard people say, well, but I shouldn't really feel this bad because other people have it worse than me.
Right.
All the time. But that's something, Adam, has to just interrupt you real quick. I grew up being told that. I grew up being told, hey, at least you have shoes, a lot of people have it worse off than you,
Mm-mm.
or don't
Mm-mm.
feel like that. I went to private Catholic school and nuns beat me when I was a kid, so you shouldn't complain for you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when that's instilled in you from when you are a kid, it doesn't really give you the moment, the time to feel, or to feel like your feelings are valid, right? Which I think why we all have these issues as we're as adults. But
Yeah.
I think the younger generation aren't going to be like that. Like I see my little brother with my 3 nieces, allowing them to, hey, you don't feel good, go for it, go let it out, that's okay,
Yeah.
don't suppress that shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you do that with your sons, Mark, but like I think that our generation, and Adam, you're a dad, I'm sure you didn't do that with your kids, but and so are you, Joey. I'm like childless, I'm like the only childless one here. But you know what I mean,
I do. Mia, you hit something so key. Everyone who's listening, at least is what's called an empathetic miss. It's awful. Nobody wants to be at leasted. At your worst, all you have to do is think about this. Think about your worst moment in your life, or even something you're being challenged with right now. If you were to choose to share that with somebody, are you wanting the response, well, at least, and then whatever follows that? None of us want that. It's a huge empathetic miss, because here's the truth. Everybody who struggles and is in darkness right now, they know what their at least is. We all know what the at least, of course we know what our at least is. We don't need somebody to point it out to us. It's dismissive, and it's an empathetic miss. What we really need is somebody to listen and go, I'm so sorry. Even if you don't even have to have the answers. I'm so sorry. I'm just really glad you told me. I'm just glad you told me, and I'll be here for whatever you need, because people are processing, and we don't need to compare our challenges to somebody else's and go, well, mine's not as big. It's relative to your experience. If you've never experienced a big challenge in life and you're comparing yourself to someone who has been challenged in life consistently, you're always going to feel less than when that challenge hits you, right? And you can't do that to yourself. Like, that's part of the problem, because we don't talk about these things.
Yeah. And also, it's okay not to have the answers, just to sit with them and be like, hey, I hear you. That sucks. And then just be there.
Yeah, because if you don't talk about it, like, you need to talk about it first. And it's okay if someone doesn't have the answers, because if you don't talk about it, you're not admitting it and you're lying to yourself. And the more you lie to yourself, there's a great quote by a Russian author who, I'm going to forget it right now because it's a long quote, but he essentially says, if you lie to yourself long enough, you won't even be able to recognize the truth anymore. And you won't be able to recognize the truth in you, in other people. And when you can't recognize the truth, you no longer can love. And so you have to be honest with yourself and talk about it and not expect an answer. Because if you talk about it, then what you're not doing is bottling or stuffing the emotion down. And when you do that, all you're really doing is think about that challenging emotion. You're planting a seed and you're watering it, and nobody sees you watering it until it has like grown to this big fucking forest, and it's overwhelming everybody with its thorns. So you have to talk about it so you don't drop that seed in and keep watering it. You're keeping fertile soil for the things that are more nurturing and good.
Right. Right. That like categorizes right in the resentment garden box. Those things love to grow.
They do. It's a wonderful one to grow. Say nothing, you'll grow a beautiful garden of resentment. Go for it.
Exactly.
I like that. I feel like this is turning into a very nice therapy session, because I was just
that's right.
I feel left out too. Everyone's wearing a hat but me, so I had to put something on.
I didn't know you had hats. I want a hat.
Oh, I just had one made, but I think I might get
one of one
made. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
just to see how it looks.
I mean, it is funny. Like, going back to us as mountain bikers, something happens to your bike on the trail. What do you do when you first get to the bottom of the trail? You're going to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Pedal struck that rock. What the? I never do that. I broke some pins. Like, I bent my derailleur. But you bend your derailleur in real life, you're like, no.
Yeah, you don't want to say anything to anybody.
I'm just gonna. I'll see y'all later.
Damn it! Now I'm gonna have to call the doctor in the morning and talk to him about this pain I've had for like a year. You guys.
Isn't that the case? Like, people go, "How are you doing?" And what's the first thing we say?
Fine, good. How are you?
A one-word answer, right?
Yeah.
Good. We just deflect it. And here's the thing. I think our concise culture like cultivates this, because everything is quick, right? Like 90-second IG reels, YouTube shorts, right? So if somebody goes, "How are you doing?" everyone's like, well, to make a long story short, instead of like, what, let me make the long story long. Like, do you really want to know? I really like to talk to you because I hurt right now, you know? But I think it's cultivating this thing where we just go, good, fine, how are you? And then everybody's just lying to each other, you know? And then one day somebody unfortunately isn't going to be here because they were lying to themselves and each other, or it's going to come out sideways and relationships are going to get ruined because they weren't talking about it. You know, I mourn for people who don't have safe spaces to talk. My greatest hope is Ride and Shine cultivates safe spaces for people. You meet new people by showing up. You were scared to go, but you went and you had some smiles and you had some stoke, and then you start to feel comfort around somebody. And my greatest hope is that person stewards your secrets and your confidences, you know, with care and with dignity, so that you can process life the way you're supposed to process life, which is in community.
That's good.
I get the chills just listening to Adam talk.
Yes.
I just want to like take it all in. It's so true.
Yeah, it's so true. Adam, when we kicked off Ride and Shine, Mia, you and I were back there. We get nervous. I was nervous. I was like, oh man, you were nervous. You did really good with Jess. And
dude, I was so nervous.
You both killed it. Yeah.
I think the hard part, the lift is like we are there with an audience and we want to fulfill the goal of really helping people. And so like the lift feels heavy. It's like, how am I going to be able to bring people into the deep end, share a bit of darkness, then end it with hope?
Yeah.
You know? And man, Ed and Cindy, they did such a good job. I literally barely touched the steering wheel and just let them do their thing.
How cool is that, Mark? They were awesome. I love them. Whenever I see them, hear about them, they're just quality humans, and I'm so grateful for them being in this community.
Totally.
They just make me smile the whole time. Like we saw Ed the day before, and because we went to SkyPark, all of us.
He has a wonderful smile, doesn't he, that dude?
And I was like, he had his full face on, so I didn't recognize him until he took it off, and I was like, dude, and I'm introducing him to the crew, and it's just they're fun people to be around too. They brighten up your day when you're riding with them.
Yeah,
big time.
They do. When Cindy started to cry about talking about her mother like passing and finding her mother on the floor, boy, that was hard as the moderator in that moment to like, okay, so I just turned to the audience, but the audience had already picked her up. They're already cheering for her. Like, we're with you. You're not alone. It just felt so good.
Mark, that was such a key moment. Like even for me, you know, backstage, I was watching it. One of the most beautiful things I've seen, because I have the privilege of speaking in front of audiences, is I remember sitting in an audience once, waiting to go up on stage, and somebody else was speaking. They got really choked up. This is about, you know, maybe 15 years ago, really choked up. And there was this deafening silence. And then somebody from the back of the audience simply yelled, "You got this." And it is the most heartwarming thing. And I remember being backstage, and you can hear Cindy rightfully, she's talking about grief. I mean, grief is hard to process. Definitely, grief is hard to process alone, much less in front of, you know, a community of people and be vulnerable on stage. I remember yelling like, "You got this." At the same time, the audience just started applauding and cheering. And it's just such a beautiful thing. Like anybody who was at Ride and Shine, I just have to, let me just throw a thank you out. Any of you who shouted out Ride and Shine for the purpose of that event, before, during, and after that event, you get it. You absolutely get it. And you saw it at the Shine event with that moment with Cindy, where a community came together, because some of you who were supporting her in that moment, when she's choking back tears, some of you didn't even know her personally, and you rallied and you were there. And I think that's the best thing. And I just have to encourage anyone, if you show up to Ride and Shine, that's the heart of the event. The icing on the cake is you get to ride. That's just the truth. The icing on the cake is you get to ride. The heart of the event is this purpose, because the stakes are incredibly high. And just because you don't see them doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
100%.
Yeah.
1000%.
Mia, when you were in charge of moderating Jess the Maker, Jess Hanna, who is extremely funny, hilarious person. And to see her show a different side that really kind of just allowed us all to mesh and bond with her. Like we've all been where she was. And how did that go for you? What was that like?
He was good. Like, I have known Jess for a while, and sorry, my dog is like doing something over here.
It's such a dope dog, Mia.
Sawyer, do not. He got something. He can tear it up. So Jess and I have been friends for a minute, and she really is what you see is what you get with her. Like, she really is the genuine human being. She's talently funny. She's raw when she feels she needs to be, but importantly, she really is a good friend. She really is a friend that checks in on you, and even with her bandwidth is always there. And so I was an honor to help her share her story, that I know it's very difficult, but I think because she's been through so much, she wanted to share with folks like, it's okay. You can still have fun. You can still laugh. You can still do all the things, but it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to, like Adam was saying, go to your therapist today. Like, you're, going to go get a cup of coffee, like it's the same thing. Sorry if my dog is distracting.
She was awesome. Mia, shout out to you and Mark both. I love that you both were nervous before you went up to facilitate those conversations, because I know you both take it so seriously. There was nothing flippant about the way you all approach that. And I want everybody to understand it. Jess was so dope, because Jess brings us so many smiles and laughter, and she's just so fucking quick-witted. And, like, she's just so quick-witted, like getting to know her for that day. She's just on point with it. Even right before you guys went on, I remember, because Bobby and Daniel were doing Let It Be.
Let It Be.
And she had to pee, right? So right before it goes on, she's like, I have to pee. And I literally was like, whoa, what went through my head was something I wish I would have known like 15 minutes ago. But also, like, can you hold it? And you both were like, yeah, we got this. And it was just it was so big. You guys made magic up there. That was so cool.
Jess just cracks me up. She just cracks me up all the time. Like, I can't with her. I can't. And you put Candace in the mix, who, as you all know, is part of the network. She's just another hilarious human being. And then you get Johnny.
You have a great crew, Mia. And Johnny from Florida. It's beautiful.
And then you get Johnny in the same room, and then the two of them are like Southerners that just talk shit all the time. Like, you can't get a word in edgewise.
But wait, Mia, I want to say this. Everybody listening, Johnny Yu flew out from Florida on his own dime to be a part of a SoCal scene event for mental health, second year in a row. Jess and her husband flew out from Arkansas so that Jess could take a stage and be vulnerable with Mia for the sake of helping end the stigma around mental health and maybe saving a life. Think about the heart behind that kind of effort and endeavor. I don't want anybody to be under the illusion like people are getting thousands of dollars just to show up to like that's not what's happening. This is just an event with purpose, and the people who are down get it, and they will go the extra mile to be a part of it on whatever level they can be a part of it on.
And so were Candace and David. They came from Arkansas on their own dime, and they came out and they hung out with us, and they rode and had a great time too.
Thank you, Candace and David. It was so great. So great meeting you both too.
Yeah. Trail Monster out of Arizona came out. Had Kim Churchill out of Michigan come out.
That's right.
Yeah, all over the place. Sal Masekela, the legendary commentator for Action Sports, was giving us a nod on Instagram about the event itself. I mean, that was big. I'm like, we're splashing. This is great. This is
That's all we want, right? Because people need to see that. The second people see it, it's literally this difference. People who showed up at that event, or maybe they didn't, but they were following and they were liking like the highlights and everything that people posted who were there. Those people this Monday might be their first therapy session.
Yeah.
This Monday might be their first honest conversation. That evening, they might have started turning their life around. Like, you just can't assume, there's plenty of time. We have 364 days a year to make jokes about things and to talk about bike parts and all the fucking things that are new and exciting in the world of mountain biking. One day we can get very raw and honest, and any amount of stroke that any of us have, who have an IG account that people follow, or a YouTube channel, or X, or Threads, or Facebook, anything. All it takes is one person to post, I'm going to be at that event because it's important, and it could change the trajectory of somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Yes. 1000%.
Yeah.
1000%.
SkyPark shared a testimonial of somebody who I believe has autism. They came for the ride and shine, but they didn't have a ride. They didn't mountain bike, but they attended the shine, and it was enough to motivate them to ask for help, open up, even partake in getting a bike
I
in the
love
near
that.
future.
I
That was
love that.
incredible.
It was. I had somebody come up to me after the shine part was over, and it was just beautiful, just a beautiful soul. And yeah, I don't want to, I want to keep their confidences, but they just said, "Please keep doing this. Please keep doing this. This is what's needed." They didn't ride either. They came up with people who rode, but they said this is exactly what's needed. There's not enough spaces where people are just talking about it, and you can feel like you can just be you in that space and be accepted. It was a really awesome conversation.
Yeah.
That's
We need
so
to do
cool.
it every year. One year we need to go to Australia.
Oh man, I'm so
That's, I
down.
love it.
I'm so down. We're gonna take it. We're gonna take this on the
Let's
road.
go.
We're gonna pack your luggage. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. There's a chance I'm moving back, so let's go.
We gotta go visit Mia. Get to hit some trails and put on ride and shine.
Got a statement here for us all. This is from SkyPark itself, from the marketing team. Basically, they had text and said, SkyPark believes in the power of community and what riding bikes provide, both physically and mentally. The Making Spirits Bright Foundation is dedicated to helping the next generation get on bikes and build their confidence, whether it be lessons or rentals. They were happy to have 10% of the door sales and additional guest contributions all go towards that goal, including the silent auction for the new Belgium bike. Our bike lesson program was the vision of a valued staff member who unfortunately lost his battle with mental health, but his legacy lives on with every guest we can help. Unfortunately, we do not know the exact amount at this time, but we do now from this, and it was enough to help out 50 new riders with lessons, which was amazing. So yeah, SkyPark is in the game with community, which is so dope.
Oh,
And they're so supportive.
yeah.
Right? They're like so supportive with everything that you need. Like I don't have a tent, like a booth like everyone else had as a vendor, but they wanted us there as a presence and I wanted to be there. And they were like, nope, we got you. How many chairs do you need? Do you need a table? Do you need a tablecloth? Do you need this? And I was just like, yes, please. Just amazing.
Yeah, Mia, you're right. It's understated. Listen, for all of you who buy tickets to SkyPark, whether it's a day pass, whether you're going monthly, or you're like, it's a really great deal for a season pass right now. You are literally supporting people who are down for our community. It goes, it really like it so goes beyond the trails, and the trails are great. SkyPark's such a fun place to ride because it's the great equalizer. You know, you can hang with friends who are really great riders and then go take jump line or comet, and you can go take sleigh and meet them at the bottom, and everyone's having like, a good time. But that crew, oh my God, all 3 years, the crew of SkyPark, nothing was, no, we just can't do that. Everything was, how can we do that?
Yes.
From them. Everything was that. Meetings, y'all have to know, like they work hours. And then we all work, regular hours. And so at night when there'd be like Zoom calls to set up Ride and Shine, we're all going above and beyond to try and put an event on for the community. And SkyPark was there with us on it every step of the way. Private chats, texts, personal numbers, being accessible to us for any and everything, even to this mark, right? Even today, even if they can't make it because they have like a race going on. SkyPark is down. Y'all should be very, very proud that your money goes to people and purpose and to a park that loves us, absolutely loves us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Very well said. Mia, going back to Jess real quick, for the folks out there, because there's a lot of people that follow Jess the Maker for her content, but can you kind of give the folks who weren't there a bit of a taste on what Jess shared and what she experienced?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm replaying this in my head verbatim. And she said, my mom's from South Korea. And so feelings don't really exist. And my dad barely talks. So there isn't a lot of talking or sharing there either. But yeah, she is the way she is. She's communicative. She's smart. She talks about how she feels, right? And she opened up about how, with the South Korea background, her aunt took her life. And she found out that happened when she was on the trail. She was riding. She was on doing the thing that we love the most. And she got a call that from her mother that her aunt had passed and taken her own life. And unfortunately, that is a common thing that happens in South Korea, more so than in a lot of other countries. And so I think that hit her pretty hard, and it allowed her to want to not be like that, right? And share how she felt. And then later in life, as a content creator, she discovered she has ADHD. And that helped her find herself. I think we were talking about that earlier, Adam, like stop lying to yourself, do something, and then you're going to learn something about yourself, right? And that's what she learned. She learned that, that she's always so self-deprecating, like I'm always late for rides, I always forget a snack, I always do this. But learning that that's not a bad thing, and it stems from the ADHD, has elevated her and allowed her to be a better version of herself, I think. And I think we see it in her content, right? Like we see it in her content all the time. Like I said, that really is how she is in real life. She's funny, she's intelligent, she's approachable, Yeah. I'm never going to forget the first time I went up to Southern Mountain Bike Festival with her, and we couldn't go. She needed to pee. She needed to pee really bad. And we couldn't go from one side of the venue to the other because everyone wanted to say hi and say hi to her and stuff. And I felt bad because she really needed to pee. But she's that human. She'll take time for you. She wants to talk to you. She wants to, be kind and share her feelings. And so I think something horrific happening to her at a young age has led to her being the good human she is today,
And the ADHD is a gift because it makes her who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny because she's encouraging me to get tested because apparently I have some of the same things. Like her husband and my wife were like, oh yeah, she does that too. Yep, she does that. Yeah.
Nothing like the spouse is comparing notes.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. Yeah, she was wonderful. If any of you missed it, Jess is worth the follow. Just like I was talking about Mark and the people on here, Joey and Mia. And you talk about congruent human beings. I loved who I met with Jess the Maker. Oh, just like a beautiful soul. Just beautiful.
Yeah, she really is. And I love that her audience is almost 50-50. 50-50 men and women. I don't know that for 100% fact, but I think it's pretty close.
And for her, that's almost unheard of. That's really unheard of.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
I want to shout out somebody else because Trail Monster on his podcast, he had Johnny Yu on it right afterward. They were doing kind of a ride and shine recap like the day after. It was cool. I got to tune into, a minute of it. And one of the things that I thought was so cool that was noticed, I think it was Johnny who pointed out, he was talking about Tony DeSilva, the outsider. And Tony came to the event and didn't even ride. But I know because I was talking to Tony beforehand, Tony said the event was so important to him, he didn't want to miss it. He could have been traveling and doing something else. And he said no to those things, showed up, didn't ride, and showed up to the shine portion of the event just to lend his support because it was so important to him. And for any of you who follow the outsider, I just want you to tell you, like, you're following somebody whose heart is down for those things, the things that are really, really important. He didn't even ride his bike. It wasn't about that. And we both know, like, Mark, Joey, we've seen that when Tony tries to walk through SkyPark and like everyone's meatballing him, right?
Right.
But but I just thought it was cool. He showed up. He showed up to support us and to support the event.
Yep.
Not get on a bike, but to be there, to go out of his way to be there. And I thought that was really dope.
I love Tony. Everyone knows I fangirl over Tony.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
What's that, Joey?
I said he was looking good too.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he's looking great right now.
I know. He just posted a picture. So, by the way, if you guys missed him, you want to ride with Tony and the AA boys, Avery and Anthony, there's a ride in Fullerton, July 27th called Christmas in July, hosted by Gravity Bikes. Are you going, Mia? I love it. I love it. I'll be there too. But you can hang with Tony. Yeah, he just posted a picture, I think, at the firehouse with the AA boys. he is looking svelte and good.
It's about
It's very
Not that he was ever looking bad. He's just looking
make you
really
swoon, make you swoon. It's great.
Yeah, Tony's looking good, feeling good. He had that
Oh,
scare.
great.
If you all follow Tony the Outsider, he had that hospital scare earlier in the year. And so, yeah, he's
Yeah.
looking much, much better.
Yeah, Joey, you're always looking good. Mia, you're looking fantastic. You are looking fantastic. And Mark, you know, because I texted you, I was like, Mark's been putting in the work, looking like a machine. So, oh,
I'm still upset I didn't get to see him with his shirt off.
I know.
mean,
I
come
hyped
on
that
now.
up. Mark was supposed to be shirtless during the
I didn't
Shine
realize that was
Post.
part of the advertising until Adam got on the
Kim's eyes
microphone.
only. Yeah. Mhm.
We have this. Tremonch said, we had a piece of Mark's birthday cake, and that enough. So rich, but so good. Although next year I'll definitely get the cookies. That
Yeah.
cake was like, this was just like the bonus of everything. That cake was, first of all, a surprise. I think Mia, Adam, Joe, you guys are all in on this. Kim hit
Listen, I
quarterback
gotta give
this.
the flowers to Mia though. Like Mia took the helm and definitely wanted to make sure things were good. And whatever Mia did behind the scenes of that, that's out of love, dude. People love you, Mark. People love
No,
you. Dude.
it was Kim. Kim's idea. We
There
ran
you
with
go.
it. We just made it work.
Sheen
So-
Queen putting her stamp
Yeah.
of approval all over it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I
That
mean,
was the
you saw
dopest
her.
cake.
She
Yeah.
put that sash on
I
him and everything.
know.
I was like, what?
I have video of it,
That's
Mark. I'm going to
awesome.
try and edit it. I have video thanks to Bobby and Daniel who played music at it. They actually got video of the entire Shine event, static cam. But at the end, Mark, dude, yeah, Kim put that sash on you. It looked right on you too. It looked really good on
Yeah.
your body.
That was a nice sash. I saved it. I have it.
Why wouldn't you? It's awesome. Oh, hey, can we please shout out MTV Rad Dad Adam Miller, who went out of his way to create some 3D prints for some of us of our logos. I just thought that was such a sweet surprise. It was really wonderful.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
That was really, really nice of Rad Dad to do that. I'm glad that we all got a chance to bond. I mean, that's part of the thing, coming together, like having a good time and talking about things, talking about deep stuff, laughing at the end,
Yeah.
crying, getting the stoke, like
Yeah.
going through the trails. When we were doing warm-ups, for example, when people were climbing and the musicians were kind of like testing their vocals, people were climbing and singing along. So cool.
They were doing Unstoppable. It was like, how can you not sing to Sia, you know?
I absolutely
Right?
loved seeing at the end of the day your kid Mark and Tanner.
Brett,
Tanner.
yeah.
That kid Tanner is full of personality. Like I
Love
can't
that
with him.
guy.
He makes me laugh every single time I see him. But I was like, we were at the top of the world. I think at one point he was with Messiah, and I was like, dude, you got your dad's bike? He's like, yeah, mine ran out of battery, and so he let me take his bike. And then we go down. We get to the booths again, and I'm like, I talked to Brett. He's like, I know. He's like begging and pleading to ride my bike. So it's not quite what he had said. But the personality of seeing the next generation of these kids growing up, like it's good to see. It's good to see.
Yeah. Passing the baton. Not
Yeah.
yet, though. Not yet. Not
Still
yet,
got some
Messiah.
years under the belt. Still got some
Hey, we
years.
got e-bikes. We're gonna be riding forever.
Right.
Oh man, Johnny's saying, let's talk the music. Those guys were incredible. Adam,
Yeah.
give them some love.
I
please.
will. Daniel Birch every year. Daniel's the hunky. I call him Sir Daniel Birch. He's the hunky guy on the cello. All 3 years he's played. I've known Daniel for a number of years now, and outside of Ride and Shine, we've had the privilege of putting on house shows. I'm not a musician or anything like that, but I've been managing some in the past. But anyways, doing house shows with him. So I knew Daniel's a reliable guy. Ben Thomas, year one, with Miss Brightsea were there, and I love it. Check out Benjamin J. Thomas's album, The Way Up. I love what he does there, his mantra songs, everything. Actually, on my new podcast, Rescue Your Dreams, I just interviewed Benjamin J. Thomas. Check it out. Just look up Rescue Your Dreams podcast. It's beautiful. Year two was Daniel Birch again on cello, and Danielle Setsuko is her Instagram. Gorgeous voice, and she performed an original piece right before Brenton's Friends and Families came on to talk about his memory. And then this year it was Daniel and Bobby, and Bobby killed it on vocals
Yeah.
doing Sia's Unstoppable and then Let It Be, a reprise of Unstoppable. These are just quality people. Y'all have to know all 3 years, the musicians who come out pay for their own gas, their own lunch, like all that. I buy them shots, because that's like fun. But they're not even part of the mountain bike community, but they know how important the event is, and they won't miss it. And so I'm grateful for all of them all 3 years.
That's so cool. Yeah, they are so good.
They're so good.
good.
So good.
Timing and everything's tight.
Yeah.
And they really go off the feelings. Like we have the transitions built in, right? But a lot of times it's not even the eye look or any kind of transition that we're physically giving each other, other than the emotion of this segment feels like it's coming down. They start to peel right in. It's like seamless.
They're experts at that, because they come from church world is what it is. Anybody who goes to church every week, you'll see those. And so the beauty of it is I can actually tell them behind, like Mark, even we're going to surprise you with the cake. I said, hey, we're going to do this little thing. Just play some ambient music behind me. And that was a full exchange. I go, got it. And that's exactly what they did. And I go, and then Bobby, I'm just going to look at you and be like, hey, kick off some Happy Birthday to Mark. He's like, got it. And it's done.
So good.
So good.
So good. Yeah, I love all of that. It's awesome. And then the chat here from everybody in the world. I mean, New Zealand, we got all over the US that was actually there and not here, but they'll be listening to the podcast and seeing videos coming out. We got Johnny in Florida who was there. Let's talk music. That's incredible. We got new fans for our content creators, Trail Pimp, Sheen Queen, I'm your #1 fan, and Amanda too. So good. Like this, the whole thing is just like, there's so much goodness. There's so much goodness.
There is so much goodness.
So to kind of like wrap it all up for this year and then moving into next year, Adam, you are definitely the quarterback. When this thing comes up, you get us back together. We start building this thing. What was your big takeaway from this show, and what are you looking at for next year when we start to get back into the drawing plans?
My big takeaway is there's just nothing that can replace the power of community. Every single one of you, please, if you're listening to this, whether you were there or not, when next year comes along, Ride and Shine is about us. It's not about me. It's not about Mia, Mark, Joey, the people. It's about us as a community. Anybody who ever wants the Ride and Shine logo to post it on their IG reels or the YouTube, just ask me. I'll throw it to you. Like, I want it to be about us. Take ownership of it. Just tell people you're going to be there. Tell people you support the event and that it's important. There's no possible way we can shout out every single person in our MTB community. And so we really need you to take charge on that. And that's what I took away from it. Next year, I hope to continue to end the stigma around mental health. Hear stories of people who, were at the first Ride and Shine. They're 3 years in, better than they've ever been. And I just want to encourage all of you. I'm going to put this on my IG later because it's just so important to hear. So many people suffer from anxiety. We're so worried about what the future is going to bring. We're in tumultuous times, and we're fucking scared. And I get it. Things are uncertain. A really beautiful study came out of Cornell University recently, and it was a study based on the things we worry about. And they said that in this study, 85% of the things we worry about actually don't happen. 85%, the odds are in your favor. Of the 15% that do happen, 15% is pretty small. Of that 15%, 79% of the people who experienced the challenge that they were scared of said it wasn't nearly as bad as they thought. And they handled it better than they could have imagined. And they even learned something valuable from it. Mark Twain said the greatest tragedies of my life never happened. The Stoics say I suffer more in imagination than in reality. Listen, we're in this together. You're not as fragile as you feel. Reach out, connect with people, and live your life honestly, and just kind of watch that magic happen.
Love it.
1000%.
Love it. That's going to be a great place to end this. But before we do, Joey, hit them with the splash page on Instagram, because this is going to be built out for this next year. And Adam, do you want to take a second to talk about this?
I do, real quick. Yes, there's a new Ride and Shine Instagram. Just opened up today. It's rideandshine.mtb. The word "and" is spelled out. Rideandshine.mtb. Listen, like I mentioned before, we have a big, huge MTB community that is actually global. I want everyone to feel seen on this page. I know we all do. The best way to do that, follow the page. You'll get a follow back, and then you can start shouting out that page as we build it for the next year. I also just don't want to miss this. The people on this podcast are just incredibly wonderful, quality human beings. Mia DePaula, Mark Hill, Joey Yates, and the extension of this crew. Could never do this without them. Behind the scenes, the Trail Dogs, the SkyPark crew, every single person who has reached out to say, how can I help in any way possible? Every single one of those vendors who have been down since day one, and the new people who continue to join on. What a beautiful community event. So go to rideandshine.mtb on IG. You'll get a follow back from that, and then we'll start to populate it as we're able to.
Love it.
Woohoo.
Love it. Oh man, that's a good place to close it out right there. Ride and Shine on Instagram. Thank you all so much for tuning in on YouTube. Thank you all for downloading on Instagram and iTunes and Spotify, wherever you're downloading these things. Check out Adam Mock, Mia DePaula, Uncaged MTB, and the rest of the mountain bike community all on here. And hey, we'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a good
See
night,
ya.
everybody.
Bye. Peace
Yeah.
and love.
You. What am I supposed to do now? I push the button. See you guys.
Bye.